So, hello everyone, Matteo from YouBeat here. So happy to have Chaz from Chartmetric here as guest of our new episode of YouBeat Café. Nice to meet you, and thanks
Hello.
for your time. Super happy because at YouBeat Cafe, we chat about topics about music industry, and we at YouBeat, we are super fan of music data analytics, and we understand the value, the importance, the tools that are super fundamental for an artist career, a label team. So first of all, we would like to start with two keywords that, in our opinion, are so important for this. That are discovery and overview, because of course with Chartmetric and music data analytics platforms, you can definitely discover what's happening and you can have an overview of what's the artist profile, what's the track going on. So my first question and my first topic is how music analytics changed over the years, and which steps and missions you at Chartmetric had, when developing the platform.
This might be a long answer. So data and analytics is nothing new to the music industry. If you go back 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, even 100 years to the very early days of the music industry was using data. Or data if you're American. It was using analytics. People who worked in the industry were interested in information which would help them discover new talent or better market and build the careers of existing artists. Data is nothing new. It's just the way we read that data or get that data has changed, and the amount of data, has got so much bigger. In the past, the information which helped us discover things was things we read on bits of paper, or it was people we talked to on the telephone or met in person. We'd pick up information which would help us make better decisions. We would listen to the radio. We would go to gigs and look at the audience. That it was, and all that information which we gathered by doing all these things would help us make better decisions about signing, who to sign, what artists to discover and put on a playlist or broadcast on the radio. Or if you were an artist or a record company, it would help you, that information would help you make better decisions for the way you run your business. Today, there's just a lot more data. And the way to think about it is that if you go back 25 years, back to the late 1990s, the internet was just starting, but there was no social media. And if you wanted to buy music online, you would go to Amazon and buy a CD because there was no streaming services. Napster, the legal version of Napster hadn't launched. Back then, the average person, the average consumer of music would create 2 data points per year. They would only create data when they bought a CD or they bought a ticket for
Yeah.
a concert. And so there was very little data. And of course, not that many people were really buying CDs or buying concert tickets. It was less than half the population, probably less than 10% in most countries. And in the vast majority of countries in the world, most people didn't buy music.
Mm-hmm.
They got music for free or just listened to the radio or made their own music. Today, music can be streamed in all but 2 countries freely. Okay. And there are concerts all over the world. There are more artists releasing music than ever before.
Yeah.
And they're releasing far much more music, and there's a lot more people listening to music. And because all of this takes place, or the majority of this takes place online, there is an awful lot more data. Today, the average music consumer creates 10,000 data points per year.
Wow.
So there is a lot more data, a lot more people, a lot more music. But in a sense, data is just what we use to get knowledge that helps us make better decisions.
Yeah,
Whether
definitely.
you're an artist or whether you're somebody in the music industry, you're just trying to make decisions the best you can.
Definitely, yeah, to better understand what's happening, what could be done better, what could be an opportunity. Of course, checking in the reports, the analytics. In fact, checked in your website, you have over 10 million artists, over 25 million
Yeah.
playlists, over 120 million tracks. That's insane. That's a
Mm.
lot, and it's growing, of course, every day. And so you offer and platforms offer a lot of tools, a lot of features to understand, to have the knowledge, that knowledge to, of course, track what's happening and what's the situation. So speaking about usage of the platform, of course, independent artists, but also music labels, but also maybe festival organizers, events organizer. You know, there is a real wide audience of the clients that
Yeah.
you can have. Our curiosity, since you can track the playlist, you can have the audience
Oh, yeah.
demographics. At the moment, which is the most used section of the platforms, and which are the the most difficult sections to set up and keep up, with all this data, with this amount of data. This is the question.
So the most used section of Chartmetric, there actually is not one specific section which is more used than any other these days.
Okay.
And sometimes it changes on the day of the week as well. So some sections are used more on certain days of the
Oh,
week.
Music Friday,
Charts
for
pages,
example, for the playlist.
yeah.
Definitely.
Playlists tend to be most widely used on Friday, charts on
Yeah.
Monday. And
Yeah.
so it varies from the day of the week, but most users who are using Chartmetric extensively, the most difficult thing is joining data together. So one thing which I always try and explain about Chartmetric, people think of us as a data company, a music data company. Um, I often try and explain we're not really a music data company. We have a lot of data. Yeah, a huge amount of data. But what we really do is integrate that data, work out how all that data fits together. Because every single music service and social network and radio station, all the data is different. The services work in different ways. Consumers use the services in different ways. And working out how a track which is on Spotify relates to a track which is on Apple Music, which relates to a sync which might take place within a movie relating to TikTok data. Behind the scenes, joining all that data together, that is the most challenging thing. And identifying the data in the first place, which you need to join in.
Great. Yeah. Yeah.
So that is sort of the biggest challenge because everything is integrated.
Yeah, and you
And
are all in one platform, so you really
yeah,
have a lot of different areas. There are
yeah,
platforms that specialize and focus on a specific. You are all in one, and also being an A&R too as well. Beside blogger, I see that the A&R section is super super interesting and useful because you can definitely look for potential also collaborators while you set up a project and a demo, looking at the neighbor artist too. That's a good future. So since I'm also in the music label side, I would just, ask you if possible to explain us a little bit more about these A&R programs, and the neighboring artist
Sure.
as feature.
Sure. So we recently launched what we call a talent search tool on Chartmetric. We
Exactly.
we didn't call it A&R because, as you said before, we have a huge number of Chartmetric users in the live music industry,
Yeah. Yeah.
where they don't use the term A&R,
Yeah,
they're
talent could be
bookers.
also for a gig,
Yeah,
for a performance
yeah.
from a festival
And
organizer.
and and we have users in music publishers, we have users in the television world, in radio, in the movie industry. A lot of people are looking for new talent and new content. It's not just record companies. It's not just the A&Rs in record
Yeah.
companies who are looking for new talent. Everybody is wanting to find new talent and new content. And data has always been essential to A&R. When I ran record companies, I didn't really do A&R because I didn't have enough knowledge. I didn't read enough. I didn't go to enough shows. I didn't listen to enough music. Although A&Rs we always talk about gut instinct, the feeling we get when we listen to a music. A great A&R person just knows that that artist is right because they get this feeling. But generally, they get that feeling because they know an awful lot about
Yeah.
the music industry and about audiences. And what they know is data. And so, yeah, Chartmetric, we're just trying to organize the data in a way that it makes sense. And we wanted to, right from the very start of Chartmetric, we wanted to create a predictive tool to identify artists early in their career who to identify artists who would become more successful in the long term and would break through and become successful. And we always knew that data could provide the signals or some signals which would identify such artists. There's some things which you can never teach a computer to do. I've got to stress. Computers are not very good at listening to music and determining whether it's good. Computers are actually much better at creating good music on their own with AI than they
Exactly.
are at listening to music and determining whether it's good. So data is never going to take over from human beings because data has always been there. Human beings have always used data as part of music discovery.
Of course.
Okay. But there's certain things which data can't tell you. Yeah, how good the music is, how good the song is, whether the artist looks great and is going to appeal to an audience, whether they have the drive and determination and the entrepreneurial spirit to become successful. Computers can never determine these things. There's always going to be a role for human beings, but data can help us identify signals. And one of the most important things we've discovered now that we've got 8 years of data and we're monitoring 11 million artists, we can look back and determine what signals in data successful artists will give out early on. And
Definitely.
most of the signals relate to audiences, who the artist audience is, how engaged they are, how they're sharing music with their friends, where they are, which countries they're in, which cities they're in. These sort of more contextual types of data are actually the most predictive ways to determine whether artists will become successful.
That's cool.
Does
And
that
you
make sense?
know what? You know what? I'm also super curious when at the conferences like at the AD or EMS we every year attend as a press because there is a platform now. There are some that are trying also to track for each artist or for each kind of music genre of music the whole global clubbing or festival scene. And you
Yeah,
can then definitely predict and also check from all the
yeah,
calendars that are around in public
yeah,
which artists are in that specific area, especially for that
yeah.
genres. So a good link between the artists to the areas around the world and the music genre. and this is something
Yeah.
super useful also for events, bookers, organizers,
Yeah.
and that's something that I think it's also super useful to also predict, if there is a huge
Yeah.
trend of music genre happening in a close country, maybe
Yeah.
it could happen soon also, and spreading, the vibes, and also a good
Yeah.
analytics for who want to
Yeah.
check which artists should book, or also as like as a client, I check, I'm going to visit that country, that new country. I will know in that area, in which areas there is a big pop, a big electronic, a
Yeah.
big Afro house, audience. This could be interesting, and of course,
Yeah.
Chartmetric, since it offers a lot of things, I assume and I'm sure that you are working also on that direction for more
Yeah.
live and clubs
Yeah.
link.
We work with the live industry extensively, and the live industry, just the same as the recording industry, is constantly looking for new talent. And the live industry is having a lot of success over recent years with very big established artists doing world tours in stadiums and large
Yeah,
arenas. Artists like Taylor Swift, Billie Eilish,
sure.
Coldplay, they do these massive tours filling stadiums. But the live industry is desperate to find the new artists who will be filling those arenas and stadiums in 5 and 10 years' time.
Yeah,
You
also
know, the,
niches, also the niche,
yeah,
like a
yeah,
little niche of a specific niche genre that maybe is starting
yeah,
happening in Milan, and you have to look for new talents, to
yeah,
and through Chartmetric, you can also discover potential talents that
yeah,
could be linked with this niche genre. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
That's super interesting, and one of the things that I really like the most of the music data platforms, and is the real time notification, of new charts, new playlists, new trends. The sooner the better. I think the challenge is who is who is the faster one, and I think that also periodic custom reports and charts you can export are also super useful.
Yeah,
Personally, I think the push notifications, the mobile push notifications, the most important, I think, feature to me, because you can definitely immediately share the news with your artist, with your label team. Are you going to enhance this feature of push notifications also linked to social media, through like ready to share
yeah.
graphics, as for example Songstats is focused on. I have also friends on Songstats, and
Right.
this is something super useful.
Yeah, we're actually making some upgrades at the moment to notifications.
Cool.
And one of the challenges, we track so much data that it can be incredibly complex using post
like
creating.
like this.
Yeah. Yes. So yeah, but we're constantly upgrading notifications and have some big upgrades coming up at the moment.
That's
So
cool.
yeah.
That's cool because I would definitely be super happy. And of course, it's all about mobile, and to also share
Yeah.
uh, to your
Yeah.
audience and to your internal teams what happens in the real time, So this is super, super important. And now thinking about upgrades, if possible, I would ask you what are you working on? Which will be the next updates and features you are working on, and you would uh, present to the audience in 2025 and also in the future?
Sure. Over the course of this year, we're going to be enriching the data we're already getting from some of the services. So we'll be getting new data points, further insight from quite a lot of services. We'll also be adding in some data from some new services as well, which are not on the platform at the moment. particularly social services. And we're also developing a range of new tools and improving some of the existing tools.
Cool.
And it's not just Chartmetric now. We of course have another service, One Sheet Club,
Cool.
which we just launched last year. One Sheet Club enables artists or people in the industry to create an online one sheet for promoting an artist or a track.
Like
And it's
an
very
overview,
smart. You
like an overview, like an APK sort of.
Absolutely. It enables you to pull in data automatic simply by typing in the name of the artist. It will pull in data, the most important data from Chartmetric, pull in photographs, video content from YouTube, all onto one page,
That's cool.
and replace, in a sense, what we used to do with PDFs, sending PDFs and emails to lots of people. You can now just send a link. And the wonderful thing is that, unlike a PDF, all the content plays from that page. Plus, all the content stays up to date. If you're sending a PDF to somebody, it's out of date as soon as you've created that PDF. And if they
You're
don't
right.
open it for 2 weeks because they're on vacation, everything is really out of date.
Yeah, yeah.
With One Sheet Club, the page is constantly updated in the background. Once you send something, you can change it. You get a new high chart position, or you add a new bit of content to promote an artist. You can just add it to the page, and everybody you've already sent it to has it as well.
That's super, super cool. And also, I was thinking about the super quick update of also the trends happening at social media. I'm working a lot with music sounds around Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, of course, and over there the things change and constantly update because of especially if you are working on a viral thing that's happening around social media. So this one sheet that will permit a constant update on this. And my question about the social media sounds usage, I chatting with some colleagues, it's not so easy to study and analyze the sound usage on TikTok, on Instagram mainly, and checking which countries, what's happening. There is a bit, a limit, it's limited. Of course, I think it's about the companies, it's about the privacy and so on. But I think that being able to study and analyze better, the sounds usage around will be super useful, linked to
Yeah.
all the other things.
Yeah, we're always looking for new ways to present useful data and to identify useful data. And we work very closely with all of the
Right.
social network streaming services to identify data which is useful. As I said before, every service works in a different way, but every service is integrated.
Yeah.
There are really deep integrations between Spotify and YouTube
Yeah.
and Instagram and Shazam and Apple Music. Spotify is very deeply integrated with Apple Music and with Netflix and with traditional radio. It's everything, all these services are integrated by consumers.
Yeah.
And although in the music industry, we think of each service as a very isolated, intrinsic platform, consumers integrate everything. They will discover music in one place, share it with their friends in another place, look for photos or information about an artist, or watch a video in another place, create something using an artist's music in another place.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
consumers integrate all these platforms. And again, monitoring all of that is what we aim to do, integrating, monitoring it, and provide people with the as much insight as possible.
That's great. That's great. And then, out of curiosity, I would like to know which data, you personally love the most, checking and analyze, between all the data you have on Chartmetric. Maybe you have some best ones that you really want to and you like to study. I have some, as well as
Yeah.
like, for example, the social media usage and so on. But what's about you?
So people often ask, what is the most important bit of data? What is the most important number? And the answer is there isn't one. There is no magic number.
Exactly. But I'm
Um,
asking which your favorite, the one that
yeah,
you
but
prefer,
the,
checking.
I am always fascinated by audience demographic and brand affinity,
That's
and
great.
also geographic data.
Yeah.
But the audience, music at its heart, particularly music which grows and connects with an audience and engages people, there is something still very tribal about music. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
We like music which speaks to us as a member of a tribe, as a particular type of person. When I was a teenager, music was my life. I was obsessed by it. And I liked music which spoke to me as a 16-year-old boy. So, and music is very tribal, and what we generally see, what I'm always with, is that artists who grow very rapidly and become successful and become eventually stars, often when you look back at who their audience was, particularly early in their career, it is just one type of consumer.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe men between 25 and 34, or girls between 16 and 18. Yeah, music is tribal. That's when music really gets shared because it's connecting and it becomes part of people's lives.
That's super, super nice. I really, really like it. And I remember when I was 14 years old with my schoolmate, uh, all this, passion about, analytics,
Yeah.
music analytics started because I used to do a challenge with my schoolmate when we were 13, who would, predict the next number one at the chart of Beatport. And so every day we used to check, the chart. And that's something that, of course, you took time, a lot of time to check
Yeah.
every day. But it was nice because, I was super, super close and every day closer to the platform, checking and discovering new
Yeah.
genres. And now it's super nice because you can track multiple charts real time in the same time, and so it's like a paradise for me, to
Yeah.
just check charts. That's one of the, my favorite things to analyze
Yeah.
around. So
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. I don't spend much time looking at charts these days because I'm more interested in what are the charts going to be tomorrow? Who is going to be on the charts next week,
Yeah,
next year?
exactly, the
So
prediction,
it's the
the prediction.
future charts.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is the future charts which are more interesting. The official charts, that's yesterday. It's what
Exactly,
happened
it's out of the
yesterday,
yeah, it's outdated.
last
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
week. Yeah, I want to, I'd love us to get to the point where, and this is science fiction, um, can we publish the chart for the second week of January 2026? Can we publish that now? That we can never do that.
No, no, never. Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I think that is a wonderful, wonderful aspiration. And it's because really you can do that if you can understand behavior. And it's sort of the part of the reason why I particularly like audience demographic and audience geography is it tells you more about the audience, and it's the audiences who are listening to music and leading to the
Yeah,
charts.
yeah, 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 yeah. No, super, super, super. Thank you for for your explanations and thoughts. Super nice to chat about it. So if you're not yet at using Chartmetric, of course, I would definitely recommend, because it's a super great platform, constantly updated with new tools, with new features. And again, thanks, Schatz and Beth and your team for your time, for the really useful service you propose to all the music industry professionals, but also to talents, to event organizers, to just music passionate, that want to check. That's super nice. And
Right.
yeah.
And thank you so much for spending the time. It's been great to chat. I've loved having the chance to talk with you.
Cool. So again,
Right.
thank you, and see you in the next episode of YouBeat Café. Ciao.
Ciao.